Good evening, everybody. How we doing, fellow musicians and industry folk? We're gonna get this party started. Just a few things real quick. First of all, thanks a bunch for coming out. My name is Josh Stack. I'm a member of the board of directors for the Asheville Music Professionals, which is a certified nonprofit organization. Really quickly, if you wanted to just infer from the name AMP, we are all music professionals that are on this board. A few of us got together a couple years ago and decided there was so much talent in this town, but it was just kind of disheveled. Everything was moving in different directions. So we wanted to coalesce all of the talent and try to raise the tide so that all ships could proceed better. So we have three tenets of AMP: connection and collaboration, education, and advocacy. So connecting and collaborating musicians, venues, music industry partners like studios and engineers and light riggers and whomever. The education point probably has been our most robust pillar, which is all of us on the board kind of had our own subject matter expertise in addition to being artists. I think, with the exception of our fearless leader, Jess Thomason, we all have performed professionally for many years. Folks like myself, who I exercise those stage demons, and I get to feel that by my ego is scratched by standing here talking to you right now. But I do a lot of communications and nonprofit work, so I can advise on how to promote, how to market, how to write a bio, how to work with bands in different tiers of success, things like that. We have a couple producers. There's some Grammys on the board of directors. Autumn Greenfield is the good former guitar mama who can teach you how to work on your guitars. So we wanted to use our information to impart that to folks to make your musical journey more efficient and more informed and more professional. And we also draw on our connections in the broader industry from New York to LA to Nashville, and bringing people here to sit on panels to talk to you guys and whomever else is interested in learning about how to monetize your product. And that is one of very many ways and paths to success. It is also very difficult in a town like Asheville to do that. Nobody's got to tell y'all that. I've been there too. Don't feel bad. So that's what we do. That's why we're here. Mojo Kitchen has given us some awesome vittles in the back. So help yourselves. That's all in the house. We have one of our advocacy roles is working with civic entities like the City of Asheville Economic Development Commission, Chamber of Commerce, folks like that, to better understand what the economic impact is of the Asheville music industry. And I don't know if you guys saw in the Citizen Times last week an article about a study that is being done on that very issue, because folks want to do a giant marketing campaign to talk about Asheville as a music town. Come visit, see some of the best music on the East Coast. We know that's true because we live here, but if we can get that commerce coming in, we can get more studios, we can get more booking agents, we can get people to make Asheville a commercial hub and pay everybody more money to play gigs and send you out on the road to massive commercial success. So the second round of that study is coming out, and it is going to rely on input from the local industry professionals. So be on the lookout for an AMP Survey Monkey. We need your input. So if you're on our mailing list, you're going to get an email asking for your participation. If you're not, go to AshevilleMusicProfessionals.com, sign up, and then we'll be submitting that survey in the next week or so. And we have our next event is May 17th at the Salvage Station. That will be a social, so just come hang out, meet folks, hear a little bit more about probably the study. But back to monetization of your assets, which is your art and your music, and everybody has YouTube videos somewhere. If not, prop your phone up when you get home. We want to see the picture of you pushing that button because that's the coolest thing before you get back to strumming. And take your selfie video and make your YouTube channel. And our guest tonight is going to talk to you about how to make money at YouTube. This is Emilija. Emilija moved from Cincinnati to Nashville in 2010 and earned a BBA in music business from Belmont University. She grew her skill set at Dualtone Records, Creative Nation, and BMI. Emilija joined Made In Network in 2013 as the company's first employee. She is YouTube certified in audience growth and advanced digital rights. Additionally, she owns 150 strategy-based board games and can teach you how to play each one of them in 5 minutes. So, without further ado, please welcome to the stage, Ms. Emilija from Nashville. It's Emilija Saxe, but I forgot her last name.
I thought she was just like Beyonce.
That's me.
Is that good enough?
I'm pretty short, so
Vertically challenged?
yeah, that's good. Okay, how's it going, everyone? So I'm gonna just give you the great spiel about YouTube, and it'll be pretty nerdy, so if you have questions, write them down. I can go down many rabbit holes, so just keep your questions till the end, though, because I'll go on a tangent. So a little background about where I work in Nashville. We're Made In Network. We were founded in 2012 and we launched publicly in 2013 with the goal of, just kind of creating a creative community in Nashville around video content and YouTube because it exists a lot in both New York and LA and there's tons of communities around it. A lot of great efforts and networks and companies really fostering creativity there, but there wasn't anything in Nashville. So when we launched, we were working with a bunch of musicians and artists and bands trying to help them grow their presence and really find a spot on the platform and just educate them on YouTube and how it could really, help them. A few years into that, after we had, grown some channels of all different types and sizes, we started getting requests from traditional brands to work as more of an agency for them to create original content for them and to promote it and to just create a whole other marketing channel. So that kind of opened up this whole other business, which is what we do a lot of right now. That's clearly the more money-making side of the business to, do all this work for brands, and it allows us to put a lot of that back into artists and creators and kind of help, grow their craft and kind of foster that creativity. So that's where we are now, doing a little bit of both, doing everything from coming up with the video concepts, release schedule, when to release them, making sure they're monetized correctly, best practices, all that kind of stuff. And just kind of being your one-stop shop for everything YouTube, whatever you need done, we'll make sure that we can do it. So, jumping right into, if you were to go home right now, upload a music video or tutorial, any kind of video you want, what should you be doing? What should you be looking for? Out of all the things, what can you get right? These basic things right here are so important. So, write it down, take a photo, whatever, because really, the more you can keep in mind of best practices and the things that will make your video look good, it will all play into the massive question mark that is the YouTube algorithm, which is, if you are doing everything in line with their best practices, your videos are going to show up more, which means you're going to get more views, which means you're going to get more money. And it all starts with just making sure your video is optimized, which just means doing all of these things. So, very first thing is title. And even though it's only a very small text box, they still break it into two parts, the first half and the second half. The first half is weighted heavier in search than the second half. So anything that is super unique to that video, you should make sure you keep in the first half. So especially for music, it's important. Then it might seem like you should put your artist name or your band name first, but you shouldn't because that's not unique to that specific video. The song title or, the behind the scenes or whatever it is unique to that video. So as you can see with the way this is set up, it is the song title first, and then any branding about the artist or the series is toward the end. Because if you were just scrolling down and all of the artist name or the series at the beginning, you're not going to see what makes each video different from the other ones right away. So that's what's important to keep in mind when you're doing the title. And similarly in the description, the first two lines, kind of whatever would be above that show more fold, are weighted heavier in search as well. So it may seem super redundant to say your title again, basically in sentence format in the description, but that's good too because you're just constantly telling the algorithm what is in that video by reinforcing it in the title and in the description. So make sure you are saying, whatever it is that whether it's a song title, whether it's a cover, whatever it is. And then, any other just extra information, whether it's about the director or collaborators or whoever you're working with, can go kind of below those bottom two, or the first two lines. Then at the very bottom, which you can kind of see on the slide, is like a block of links to your other socials, your website, if you have any crowdfunding, anything like that. That's also really important to have at the bottom of every video description because that's also a best practice to make sure you have a well-rounded social platform strategy off of YouTube. So that is immediately just seen as, ticking a box that you're using every feature that YouTube gives you, and that's one of them. So this kind of goes into the tags, which is if you're, once again, upload a video, top box is title, middle box is the description, then you're looking at the tags, which is kind of overwhelming, but it's really simple when you think about it. You want to have at least 15. There's never like a perfect number, but you definitely want at least 15 because less than that, you'll be marked as not specific enough, which means you won't appear in search results because you're being too vague. If you have over 30, you will probably not appear in search results either because it's seen as spam, and you're just putting too many words in the box. Similarly, if you're a musician and you think, you're gonna get the traffic of people searching for, Katy Perry or Miley Cyrus or Ellie Goulding, Taylor, like all of that stuff, if you just type all those artist names in there, you're gonna immediately get flagged as spam and your video won't show up because the algorithm will immediately read that as this is not all of those people. So whereas that used to be a strategy to try and capture that audience, it doesn't really work anymore. So, you can have maybe one other artist name, but just don't overdo it. Other things to consider in the tags are the number one most important thing is a common misspelling of your name, or there might be a few. So, if you have a name like Sarah or Caitlin, where, it could be spelled so many different ways and people wouldn't know that when they're discovering you at a show or on the radio, you should keep that in the tags because that's what someone could search for. Song title, also having a combination of your name with a song title, or if it's like a tutorial or some other instructional video, don't, write it in the most, proper English sounding way. Type it how you would at 2 in the morning, type it in YouTube search bar. That's because that's exactly what everyone's doing. So just think about it as if you were a user, which everyone is, and the way you would do that. Then the other really cool thing about tags is, as you can kind of see, there's a really unique 3-word tag at the end, which is kind of the one way creators can trick the algorithm. If you pick 3 or 4 really unique words that wouldn't be searched together ever in any other capacity, and you put that tag at the end of all of your videos, it will then, in the algorithm, tie all of your videos together and affiliate them with no one else's. So if you're watching, if a user is watching one music video of yours, all the right side suggested videos will, 9 out of 10 be yours because the algorithm reads it as they're all affiliated in that way. So, this one is silver butterfly coffee. That's a search term that doesn't exist. So you can make up really anything like that. Trust me, I looked before I came up with these. So just anything like that is a really easy way to just kind of immediately guarantee that if a viewer finds one of your videos, they're going to find the rest of them too because they're going to appear in the search results. So then the last thing you can do when uploading is add a thumbnail. And it's, a little bit more work than all the other things I just said because it usually requires Photoshop. But you'll be given 3 options of default thumbnails that YouTube suggests, which is just pulled from the video. And usually those are okay. But really what performs best on YouTube as a whole is, really high contrast, big faces, and, big, easy to read text. So, it kind of varies based on, what the purpose is. So you can see here, there's some of a brand, so it's important to have the brand logo there. But then if it's, a musician series, you want to distinguish that as a series that people can see. Because if you're scrolling down the search results or a person's channel, you just want something that's going to catch a user's eye. So, when in doubt, just use a person's face and some big white or black text, and, people are guaranteed to see it. So getting even more into, the more work you want to do on your channel, the home page is really important. And that is where you can take advantage of best practices the most, because there's even a little widget that will pop up when you create your channel that says, like, you haven't done any of these things, and this is good. So it will kind of take you through these, but things that are important are to have like a big channel trailer at the top. It can be, your most recent music video. It can be your most popular video. It can be, you can create an actual trailer, which it was intended for, and it's kind of like a highlight reel of sorts. But like, I can't remember the statistic, but in YouTube's most recent study, it was something between 60 and 70% of people clicked that first when they went to a channel page. So it's definitely important to have one, and then don't neglect it once you choose it, because then people are going to still be watching it. So if it's 6 years old, you might want to update it. And then going below it, the home page is completely customizable, which most people don't really realize. You can set it up into these different shelves, little sections of playlists, and they don't have to be your own videos. So maybe you just created an account and you only have a handful of acoustic videos or music videos or something, and you just want more there. You can just make a playlist of your favorite songs ever that exist by other people. Turn that into a playlist and make that a little shelf on your page. It just tells people more about you, because YouTube users they want to connect with you, and that's what makes YouTube so important to them. So whatever you can do to make that experience more unique, the better. Similarly, what you can kind of see on this, there's a box on the left that says featured channels. You can rename that to say whatever you want. It can say, my favorite YouTube channels, my favorite shows, or co-writers, or bands I love, and you can choose the channels that are there. And that's just another box you can check, to the YouTube algorithm that's saying, I took advantage of this, I did this feature, I'm an active YouTuber. So that's just super customizable. Also, once again, the widget kind of walks you through it. You should click this box and add things. It's just a really cool way that you can continue to engage with people. This is just another example, but a more music-specific page. You can kind of see how he has this different series going down, and just what they look like and how they're branded. Okay, so artwork, which is really tricky just depending on what your channel is, but it's super important. Basically, if you are a person, or whether that's a musician or an instructor or something, your face should either be in the banner or the icon in the corner, because people need to associate a personality with it. If it's a brand, it's a little different, but so you want to be able to put that face somewhere to give people a face with a name, literally. And then you want to use the other thing to promote, whatever you're trying to promote. So usually it's you put a picture in the icon and you talk about your new album in the banner, or you talk about a new single, or that you're available on Spotify, anything like that, because it is the first thing you see pretty clearly on your computer, like you see here, but it's one of the main things you see on your phone, tablet, and TV, which is where a lot of the viewership is on YouTube right now. So also kind of a little step further, because you have to use Photoshop to design a YouTube banner. If you just search banner template, there's a really nice template to figure out how you can make sure you're in all of the dimensions for the different devices, but it's super worth it because it really leaves an impression on, users whenever they find your page. So a really new feature that YouTube has rolled out is called end cards, or end screens. And it allows for you to kind of choose where a viewer goes after they watch your video. It can be, to subscribe to your channel, to watch another video, to go watch a playlist. And the really cool thing is it can be clicked on a computer, a tablet, a phone, anything. So if someone's just binge watching your videos and all of a sudden this end screen pops up and they can go watch another one, they're probably going to. So, on average on most of our channels, of the people who are still watching when the end screen comes up, about 70% of people click an element on that end screen. And these are super easy to do. It doesn't require anything fancy. We usually go a step further, as you can tell, to create a custom end screen that we edit as a static image at the end of all of our videos, so we can kind of play with it. But you can also just have a longer black section at the end, or you can, kind of overlay it a little bit into whatever your video is. But you just click end screen and add element. It walks you through, do you want a subscribe button? Do you want a video button? You can do a Patreon or a Kickstarter button too. It's just really cool and a good way to, be able to see all of that. And then you can also track it on the back end, which I'll show you a little bit. So going into analytics, as you may or may not know, YouTube has the most robust analytics of any social media platform. I mean, like, you could get lost in it forever by just changing the time frames and going through every single, piece of information it gives you. This is just the overview page, and from here you can get to many other things that interest you. So I'll just kind of talk about some of like the main things you should be looking at if you have a few videos and like kind of what you can pull from it. This really most important metric to YouTube and to the algorithm and how it's going to serve your videos in search is watch time. For, the first like 8 years of YouTube, it was all about views and the view count, and that's where the viral video came from, and why every video was stopped at 301 views to verify the validity of the views, because that was so important. And now, how they're running ads and selling ad inventory is not based on views at all, but on watch time, because watch time is guaranteeing the interest and, the retention of a viewer, which is far more important to an advertiser, which then, makes your videos more valuable, so you'll appear more in search and you'll get paid more for the ads. So as you can see, it all just kind of makes sense. So going to your watch time, don't be alarmed if it's low. The average watch time across all of YouTube is 25%, which is pretty terrible. That's because people don't have a good attention spans. So for music, it tends to be a little higher because people may be just watching your content there. For tutorial videos, they tend to be kind of all over the board because people fast forward through them a lot to find certain sections. But if you're looking at anything over 50%, that's really good. And you should maybe start thinking about stretching your video length a little bit, because that means that you're able to get at least 50% of people watching the whole thing. So if you start to push the envelope on how long you're making your videos, you're going to get overall more minutes of watch time, which will get you paid more, make your videos perform better, all of that stuff. So that's the easiest first thing to look at. Is called audience retention in the analytics report. The other really important thing that's just a really good stat to know is how many playlists your videos have been added to. You can see it, whether it's for your entire channel, how many videos have been added to playlists, whether it's one specific video, how many times it has, over any time frame. And that really just shows you, it's a really high engagement metric. It's more than a like, it's more than a comment. It's I want to watch or engage with this again, or I want to share it with someone, so I'm putting it in this playlist. So, I mean, like, it so depends on what you're doing, but just being able to see that and prove that people care, can really, like, build a YouTube presence for you and for working with other YouTubers going forward. Another thing that's really cool to look at, when I was talking about tags earlier and, like, common name misspellings, maybe you think no one would misspell your name, but there's a way to find out. Because if you go to traffic sources, which I think I have a picture of, this is the top level traffic sources, so you can see whether your views are coming from like a link on your Facebook, or if someone posted it on Reddit, or like you may have no idea, or it could be an article that you were featured in. YouTube search is usually a pretty high one, and if you click that again, you can literally see everything that people search to get to your page. So you can see if someone typed in your name wrong. You can see if they just typed a lyric to one of your songs. You can see whether it's, like some other person's song actually that they found you through. But all of that you can then use to inform the way you're tagging your videos in the future. Because then maybe those people would find your videos faster, easier, anything like that. So that's really important. And it's just super cool to be able to see what, people are looking for and how you can, just try and beat the search results. If you click external, this is what it looks like. It's about half helpful. Like, it'll tell the names of some sites, but it also might just say like iPhone messaging, which just means someone texted it to someone, which is cool, I guess, but doesn't really tell you anything. It'll also tell you, if it was a specific website or anything like that. And then what's also cool, as you can see, is you can see the watch time for each of those specific sources. So you can see, like, I got more engaged viewers from Reddit than I did from Rolling Stone or whatever it is. And that's just really cool to be able to see and think, like, oh, maybe I don't need to premiere at that website next time because it didn't do anything for me, and you can prove it in analytics. So, the really important part, monetization. actually getting to the point of being able to monetize your videos is much easier than it was. It used to be that you had to, go through an application process, be approved as a partner, go through like this waiting period where they would just watch your content, which they probably didn't, and then approve it. So now it's really easy once you log in and just click settings. There's a big thing that says like request to be a partner, and it takes like 2 or 3 hours. You'll get an email that says you're now verified to be a YouTube partner, which just means that you're a human and not a robot channel. And then you can go into just Google search YouTube AdSense, and you create an AdSense account, which is just linking your YouTube channel to a bank account so that any money you make will be able to go to your bank account. But then, once you have all like that groundwork set up, you need to go in and monetize each individual video. You can do it all at once, but I recommend doing it one at a time just so you make sure you take care of it, and because you don't want to get a copyright strike. Because if you select to monetize a video that you don't own some part of, whether that's a cover or it like has a clip of some other movie or TV show in it, you could immediately get a copyright strike, which is really bad for your channel. If you get 3, it will immediately be taken down with no notice, and all of your videos will just be lost forever, and you don't want to have to deal with that. So just kind of go down one by one and think like, do I own this whole video? And then you can monetize it. So from that basic page where you selected your title, description, and tags, that's called the basic settings. Like one click to the right says monetization, and you just check that box, you check that you have the rights to it, and then it gives you all these different options of ad formats. There's the overlay ads, that the ones that will like pop up with the little X on the bottom. There's the pre-roll ads, which will run at the beginning. There's skippable and non-skippable pre-roll ads. You should always allow for skippable pre-roll ads because they pay really well in the long run, and everyone likes skippable ads because they can skip them. However, non-skippable video ads pay even better, but there have been a lot of studies that show that they increase viewer abandonment like a lot. Like if they really are kind of 50-50 on whether they want to watch your video or not, and they can't skip the ad, they'll probably just skip the whole video. They don't care that much. So if you start to see that your viewership and watch time is good overall after a few months, then you can probably go ahead and enable that ad type, but I definitely wouldn't start with that one out of the gate. But as far as the rest of ad types go, they're all pretty safe. They all just pay different ways, unless you're like really worried about them obstructing some part of your content, like when they come up. So as far as like how much can you make and how does it all work, it's kind of all over the board. The metric is called CPM, cost per 1,000 views. The average is about 22 cents per 1,000 views. However, that's like if you're like a very terrible channel with like 1 to 2 videos and you don't maintain it whatsoever. But if you have a regular release schedule, if you do all the best practices that we've talked about, if you're partner verified, you can be looking at $1.50 to $2.50 per 1,000 views, which can be pretty cool for just putting up your videos and nothing happening. But then if your watch time starts to get really high, like we're talking like 80% watch time, you're getting like at least 50,000 views a month, then you're looking at it could be $4 per 1,000 views, $5, and we've seen them go as high as $12 per 1,000 views, which, if you're getting millions of views, can add up really fast. So, and they don't put CPM as a metric in analytics anymore, but you can figure it out by looking at your view numbers and how much your estimated earnings are every month. But the cool thing is there are also other ways to be able to make money doing this, especially in music and like cooking and fitness. There are just so many brands who are trying to get into that space because they figured out how much cheaper YouTube is than all other traditional media to advertise in front of. So if you have a channel that's releasing at least once a month or more, you have a really easy pitch to a brand to be able to say like, hey, I can wear this shirt, play this guitar, use these strings, use this flower, whatever it is, and you can get paid on a per video basis that like will well exceed whatever your AdSense revenue would have been. And there's so many easy ways to do that without having to like hire a sales team. There's sites called like Relio and FameBit, and they're just kind of like you sign up for an account, you can give your pitch on what your channel is, how many views you get, how devoted your audience is, and what they're interested in, and the brands can kind of like bid to work with you. And that can be like a traditional sponsorship, it can be a product placement, or bigger picture, it can be like a whole collaboration where it's working with a whole other YouTube channel of a brand or another YouTuber, the more you become an influencer, like on any other platform, the more you can charge, and then the more you can make money off of YouTube. So it really just depends on, you get as much out of it as you put into it, basically.
What was that site called?
FameBit is one, FAMEBIT, and the other one is Reelio, REELIO. So this is super nerdy back end of YouTube stuff. So I'll go through it kind of quickly, and if you have more specific questions, I can go into it. But not everyone has access to this. But this is kind of what it looks like as a content manager if you're managing digital rights stuff. So there are 3 assets, as I'm sure you guys know, to every video, where it's the video asset, the sound recording, and the compositions, like the actual written song. And through YouTube's Content ID system, they now have a way to kind of control, monitor, and monetize all of those assets separately, which is really good because I'm sure you remember a time when if you uploaded a video of pretty much anyone in concert, it would get immediately taken down. But now you have just as much right as the person who filmed the video, as the person who, wrote the song in the video, as the person who's singing it. You all own equal thirds of that. So if you're also a musician, hopefully you have some sort of admin deal if your songs are being recorded or played regularly, because they're probably on YouTube and you could be making money for the composition portion. So that like $150 to $250 that could be earned per 1,000 views is being split between those 3 assets. So I mean, at the end of the day, like a pretty solid, played song on YouTube can just start to just make money for obviously doing nothing. But the only catch is sound recording assets can only have one owner. So if it's split, whereas between a band or between 2 labels, YouTube can't yet split that between 2 owners. One person kind of has to claim ownership and then promise to pay out to the other person, but there's no way to track that. Compositions can have as many owners as possible, so there usually is. The only tricky part there is because it is all the algorithm, if it ever detects anything as someone trying to pull something over on someone, it's going to like immediately stop that earning. So for example, if there's 3 writers on a song and all 3 people, submit metadata that say they own 33.34%, when that all goes into Content ID, that's going to read as over 100%, and it's just not going to make any money because they think someone's lying. So until one person adjusts that percentage to, be less than that, then, that composition is just not going to be able to make any money, and all the money will go to the video asset and the sound recording. And YouTube doesn't tell you that. You have to just go check that it did. So the system is definitely not perfect, and it's still the Wild West, but it is, light years ahead of where it was. And just being able to, make sure that you are getting paid for the assets that you own. So that's kind of basically the super basic part of the back end stuff. But so if there are any masters or compositions that you own, I mean, like I can talk to you about it afterwards or something. But there are steps you can take. There are admin companies that specialize just in YouTube too, that they can take your metadata and your assets and deliver it to YouTube and monitor it for you and pay it out for you. So I mean, if you have a few songs that you think are getting at least a couple 100,000 views or even tens of thousands of views a month, like it might be worth looking into, because you're definitely entitled to it, and maybe the other writers or other performers are doing it as well. So that's kind of like all the basic back-end uploading, like kind of crash course. As far as like big picture, kind of what you should be doing, it obviously depends on the vertical you're trying to do. I know that maybe not everyone might not be a musician or try to do that, but it really is as much as you put into it. So at the bare minimum, you should just have it not be a burial ground, for music videos. Like at least update the other sections, or comment on other people's videos, or like them, or, share them onto your own page, anything like that to make it look like a lively social media platform, because you probably don't even think about it, but you update your Instagram and your Twitter and your Facebook regularly. There are like billions of people who don't use those sites but use YouTube, and if they go check your YouTube and you haven't posted in 6 months, they'll think you quit. Like they're not going to go check your other platforms to look for it. They're just going to be like, oh well, they don't use YouTube. So just bare minimum, please put up 1 video a month. It would make me so happy, because that like it means so much and it's not that hard. And like the notion is that, you know, video content is time consuming and expensive, and it's really not. You can spend 2 hours and, you know, record a combination of performance videos and vlogs or something like that and get, you know, 6 videos done for half the year. And you can just stagger their release, and at least, you know, it looks like you have an active presence. If you're really willing to, you can go, you know, the whole distance and you can become a YouTuber, which sounds kind of like a lot of work, but I promise it's worth it and really lucrative. You know, we had a channel go from 3,000 subscribers to 1.4 million in like 2.5 years. And to the point where, you know, I think 8 months into that, she quit all of her other jobs and she was completely able to just make a living off of her YouTube channel. And she was doing just cover songs, like nothing hard. So in other realms like entertainment and comedy and sketches and fitness and cooking, like the track is even faster. I mean, like there isn't even enough content to satisfy all the people that are watching it. I mean, it's just like the number 2 search engine and the number 1 destination for video content. I don't really see that changing anytime soon. With Facebook Live and Facebook starting to, you know, roll out their own video algorithms and platform, I can just tell you from the back end, it doesn't even kind of compare to YouTube. Like there's a reason Facebook doesn't give you that good of analytics for your videos, because no one's watching them. Like literally a scroll so fast that you couldn't tell the color of the video counts as a view. And, you know, they can't tell you the watch time because there isn't any. They can't tell you the demographics because they haven't built in that capability yet. You know, it is not meant for the user or the creator, really. It's just meant to benefit Facebook. Whereas I think YouTube cares a lot both about the creator and the user. So I think that the more you can kind of build YouTube and feeding content to it as part of your overall strategy as a person, as a brand, as a musician, you know, the more, you know, prepared for the future you're going to be, as cheesy as that sounds, because 98% of Americans under the age of 15 have a YouTube channel with at least 10 people they subscribe to. Like, it's unreal just how, you know, familiar they are with the platform, how they have literally watched the YouTube Kids app, you know, on their parents' iPad forever, and now they're the majority of the YouTube users and the YouTube trolls that we see like every day. So just the more you can be there for that audience, the better, because it's just going to keep growing and growing, and the people who are using it more as like a search engine, probably like me and most of you do, are going to start fading away, and they're going to expect a lot more of the content and a lot more personality out of it. And if you just keep that in part of your social strategy, like everything else, like it's pretty easy to be successful. So that's kind of like the crash course. So I'd love to see if there's any like specific questions you guys have, or anything else you want me to go on a tangent on that's like, you know, deeper.
Chelsea, you want to go first? We have a mic if you want to use it. Otherwise, I know you got a good voice. You can just go ahead.
Do you have anything to say about just the stagnant image of an album cover and separating the songs versus putting the whole album up there, and just anything? Yeah. This is an unpopular opinion from most musicians, but I stand by it. You should always put your entire music on YouTube, because if you don't, someone else will, I promise. So you should be the first person when you have an album or an EP or a single come out to put it up as a playlist, as a shelf, like on that homepage. Go back to it. Like you should just have a section right here where it can say the album title, check it out, and they can listen to every track in the playlist, because one, then you could be monetizing it, you know, and you own that complete asset. And as far as the static album cover is, that's perfect. That I wouldn't do anything else or try to do anything fancy. I mean, long term you can do a lyric video or a music video, but people expect to be able to find your music just like that on YouTube. And, you know, either they'll find it from someone else who ripped it and uploaded it, or they will just go listen to something else, because they probably won't switch platforms because they have the YouTube app and that's how they're choosing to listen.
If you are trying to clean up an existing YouTube channel and update tags and whatnot, is there a way to batch process multiple videos so you can do the same time?
Yeah, so there is a way to batch add tags, titles, descriptions. It's kind of messy, so like you have to make sure that you really want it to apply to this. But for example, say you come up with a 3-word tag that you want to, then apply to all of them. From your video manager, which is like your main video view of all of your videos, you can use the checkbox to select the ones you want to apply it to, then click add tag, and you type it in. And you can do that too, or if you want to just add any other tags, you can. Then if you're starting a new channel, you have a slight advantage because in your settings there's an upload defaults section where you can control like that block of links like I was talking about at the bottom of your descriptions. You can put that into the settings there. So then every time you upload a new video going forward, that's just going to show up there as one less thing for you to worry about.
If you want to put a cover song up,
Mm-hmm.
and these different things like a title, how do you increase the odds that it's going to come up near the top?
So the biggest thing about coming up near the top in the long term is having really good watch time. So like when you search for a cover, you may notice like the first 2 are probably the ones, with like millions of views. Then there might be one that only has like 20 or 30,000. And that's because it probably has just as good of watch time as those other ones above it. And that watch time is once again like that percent of people watching that video, how long are they watching it for? So there's no way that you can really control that other than releasing it. And then following the best practices like we talked about, like making sure you're formatting the title correctly, which would be, song title, artist cover, and then your name, because your name is the least important to a user if they're looking for a cover. They want to know what the song is and who you're covering.
No.
First thing you want to put in is the name of the song,
Yes,
and then the name of the artist that originally recorded it,
correct,
and then your name.
correct.
Is there anything else you can do that helps?
I mean, other than just trying to cover the right songs at the right times, doing top 40 songs right as they're rising while a guessing game is worth it, because, they get so much traffic. And then going into non-algorithm strategies, you could always have a friend with a channel who has more subscribers than you comment on your video and say something like, love this cover, because say you have 500 subscribers, but they have 5,000, and they comment on your video, those 5,000 subscribers get a notification on their feed that they commented on your video, and some of them will probably go watch. Similarly, you could go find all the other big covers of that song that you did, comment on it, and say, go check out my cover. Because people troll comments so hard, like they're just reading them, and like if they really liked that song and want to see another cover of it, and you comment right in the middle of the thread that you have a cover too, there's a good chance that they might go over and watch it.
So if you just put a cover up for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to show up near the bottom because it doesn't have any watches yet.
Correct. Unless you're already a really established channel with established watch time over time.
Unless no one else has covered it. There's only one.
Right. Unless it's just a really obscure song. The less covers, period, the more likelihood you have to get to the top. But then probably the less people are searching for it.
Alex.
How do you make money on a cover video but not step on anybody's toes and cover it?
So there's a really cool feature that YouTube has added to Creator Studio, which is the basic part of your YouTube channel when you log in, where if you click your little icon in the right, there's a big rectangle that says Creator Studio. And on the left is where like everything I've talked about is. There's Video Manager where you edit your videos, there's Analytics, there's Channel, which is your settings, and there's this new thing called Create, and it has royalty-free music, if you need like background tracks, and then it has a little thing called Music Policies. And if you click that, you can search any song, it has most of popular music. You search it there, and it will tell you the policy for it if you cover it or if you use it in the background. So it will say, like, what will happen if you cover this? What will happen if you use it? And 9 times out of 10, it will say, if you cover this, it is monetizable playback worldwide, or it will say, not monetizable playback worldwide. But most cases, when you say, I just want to use the entire sound recording of a track, it'll say, like, will be muted, probably. But so you just check that policy list, see what their policy is for the cover. If it still says that you can do it and it's viewable worldwide, I would still say it's worth doing. You just can't monetize that version. That's the short answer. If you do start working with an admin company that specializes in YouTube rights, which I think you can kind of do now through CD Baby, and then there's other just like third-party companies that can do it. they can deliver your master asset to YouTube for you and claim you as the master owner, and then you are able to monetize that master separately from that video asset and from the composition asset.
Yeah, okay, so you mentioned with songs, if too many artists claim the song, then it confuses it. But the recording studio, the engineer always gets paid. You mentioned two. So that would make me think that if you're recording songs, you should do as many live where you're the engineer as well as the
Mhm.
artist.
It's the master recording in the composition. So like who actually owns the copyright for who wrote the song and the actual physical sound recording.
Mhm.
So that's the difference between the
Yeah, so like if you right now just took a video of you playing a song acoustic, you would own that master because you just filmed it, and you would own the composition if you wrote it. But you would also own the video because you just filmed it. But say it was a cover, then you wouldn't own that composition asset. Or say it was the official music video, you may not own the video or the sound recording, but you own the composition because you wrote it. It's just a case by case basis. But I mean, if it's not music content at all, you usually own the whole thing. It's just one asset. Whether it's a cooking video or a vlog or like a behind the scenes, like then that's just one asset and it's yours.
And is there a way to perform it that you did everything?
So basically by monetizing it, you're saying that. On the really advanced level of like if you're a songwriter who has lots of songs that are being used on the platform, you would really need to use a third party to make sure that that composition asset is being claimed, because the individual users don't have access to do that.
I'm getting copyright flags from CD-Baby on my songs.
That means that at some point, whenever you like use CD Baby as your distributor or something, you like had the YouTube box checked, which means that they're taking that money for you. So in the perfect world, that should be getting back to you somehow. So I hope it is,
But it doesn't let me monetize it.
because it is doing it for you in whatever deal you signed with CD Baby. So I would recommend like going back to whoever it is, or it may even be a setting now in your CD Baby account. Just uncheck the box that says like track my songs on YouTube, and then you can monetize your own channel.
One question. On this public domain songs, like, are those, do you own the composition of that, or public domain, or?
If a song is in the public domain, you can definitely just check the monetization box, no problem.
You're trying to clean up a YouTube channel, you think you have like outdated videos, nothing terrible, getting more content the better, you should just keep as many videos up as possible, or should you be kind of concerned with this doesn't, it's old outdated?
I think it really depends on the content. Like if you're a musician and you have like you singing some songs that are like, kind of terrible but cute when you're like 14, like that kind of stuff is so gold to people on YouTube. Like if they saw that video of you, like 10 years ago, and now it exists, like they will feel so validated that they knew you when. And like that element of like closeness to YouTube is so important. So I mean, like if it's like terrible or has like less than 10 views, or like the quality's bad or something, you can make it private. I would never ever delete anything, because if you make it private, the view count still counts toward your overall channel. And then, maybe one rainy day you will want to give your subscribers a gift of an old video that's still on your channel, and you can just make it public.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about, how your placement metrics are affected by whether or not you allow commenting.
So YouTube has never officially said that disabling commenting hurts your position in the algorithm at any point, but I still think it does. Because there was a period of time where we had a few channels where we didn't want to allow commenting, and it hurts your overall score, because that's a whole engagement you're leaving out. And you can't really build community or encourage people to share or talk about it if you have the comments disabled. So in some cases it really makes sense for certain brands and such to turn them off. But there are so many ways you can control the comment section now. I really recommend keeping it live. Like you can set up either that you have to moderate them all as they come in, which isn't fun, but it's better than nothing. And you can also set it up so there's a filter. So like if people say certain words, that comment will never appear. And you can just kind of, keep that as like a moderation process. But you also don't want to filter out too many things because then trolls figure it out and they'll get really mad and like attack your comment section with all kinds of terrible things. So like 1 or 2 words is fine.
You mentioned Patreon. Is there a certain point, like should everybody just go ahead and run home and start a page, or should they wait till a certain point on YouTube before they start a page?
I mean, it just kind of depends on like I don't really know, Patreon's ins and outs, like how hard it is to maintain it or like provide benefits to people, but a lot of people on YouTube have it because there used to be something called fan funding that people could like tip you on YouTube, which they just took away for some reason. So a lot of people had Patreons, but I've started to see them kind of disappear from pages unless it's like a brand new channel. They'll have one until they hit some sort of goal and then they'll take it away.
Back there. Yep. Yep. You. Yep.
I have a really good question. How does this like tagging work? Because like, how do you know what is a good tag to put on your video?
Yeah, it's just about being as super specific and relevant to your video as possible. You don't want to have anything that's misleading or false, because then you could be seen as abusing the system. And you also don't want to, just have nothing, like things like the city and like your name or like the song title, who you're covering, name misspellings, album title, anything that just really is descriptive, and then like any other little phrases that you think someone would search.
If you're like, we didn't really talk about it much, but the like if you want to do instructor videos,
Mhm.
what's the like you think just keeping like what's a kind of optimal length for that, and also like what's the best way to I guess monetize it through ads or like
Mhm.
you said they took away the tip thing, so that's not
Yeah, I would definitely monetize it through ads, starting, and then down the line, the more subscribers and views you get, you're able to get like a bigger brand sponsor. But I mean, it's definitely easy in the meantime to do it the traditional way. And as far as length goes, I would aim for like 3 to 4 minutes. It kind of depends on what you're doing too, but 3 to 4 minutes because that's like enough to have an intro and an outro and like a tutorial. And if you start to see in that audience retention part of analytics that you have greater than 50% retention, I would start to kind of push your length longer and longer and see how long you can go before people stop caring, because overall you want more watch time. So if you can keep making longer videos and your audience is still going to watch it, then you should do it. But also don't just do it for the sake of doing it. Like not every video has to be the same length. Like you may have one that really does need to be 10 minutes and that's good, and you might have one that's only 2 minutes and that's good, and people will probably watch the whole thing of both. But I always recommend starting at 3 to 4 minutes and just seeing how long people will watch for by watching those analytics and seeing okay, well, most people stopped watching a minute and a half in, so was it because I stopped the tutorial then? Was it because they can't watch a video that long? You could just kind of like walk through that process.
Hey, so say somebody else's video of you that's like old and not flattering. Is there a way to like, besides all these awesome tips that are awesome,
Yeah.
to like help bury that?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, in time, if you put out good content that you like that is flattering, that should push it down. But I mean, like, what I have to do so often is just message people personally and ask them to take videos down. Like incentivize them with a signed CD or something, and they'll usually do it. Or if it's like really bad or it's offensive, like you can take action to email creator support at YouTube and have them request a manual takedown, but that'll take like 6 months because they're slow.
This isn't like a simple answer, but if you can comment on, like, for music videos specifically, the difference between maybe having like a live shot music video, whether it's a concert or like a studio session, as opposed to something more like a music video, like not specifically.
Mhm.
Produced.
Yeah. I think they both definitely have their place, and they should both live alongside each other on the channel. Just a lot of it depends on your budget. Like if you do only music videos, then people will think that's what that's all that you do, and that's all you're gonna do around video content. So like the more well-rounded you can be, the better. Kind of traditionally, it's like the two separate audiences of YouTube, right? So there's the people, probably like most of us, who we like watch YouTube if someone sends us a link, or if there's a new artist song we want to look up, or if there's something specific we are searching for in the search bar. But most of YouTube users are the ones who subscribe. They have the channels they're subscribed to, and the viewing habits of those two audiences are so different. So I would say like the music videos, like the more produced type of content is for those people searching for it, like for your specific band or for a new single or for whatever it is. But, you know, like the live shot, whether it's, you know, like a one camera acoustic take, you know, or just, you know, a new song that you played live, that is going to play more into the traditional YouTuber audience, you know, who just wants to feel authenticity and like close to you. And like that's also more feasible to do regularly too because it's more cost effective.
Can I piggyback on that question?
Yeah.
So, so say you do a lot of things in your life. Like, say you're a musician, but you also like screen print. You've done some screen printing videos. Is that confusing to have them in the same channel, or should you make separate channels?
The short answer is yes, it's confusing, but you can do it in a good way. It just kind of depends. Like, but one of them kind of has to be the focus. So like what we like to encourage a lot of artist channels to do is like you are an artist, this is your music, this is what you're doing, but you can, you know, cast another net to a new audience by saying, but I also do yoga, you know, or I also do screen printing, and you can have like a whole section of that on your page, but that's really only if you want that hobby to bring more people to your music. But if you want to kind of like build a screen printing community and then build a community of people who like your music, they should probably be two separate channels. A lot of YouTubers have two separate channels for their different things. They just, you know, feed to them a lot. Like they'll shout out to themselves from the different channels, and they'll like feature the links under that featured channels part of the homepage, that kind of stuff.
Say you're uploading an original song, and so you get together to do a music video, and you get a professional picture put on there. What do you think is all important to have in that picture besides the title, the artist? Like, should you have also there available iTunes, Spotify, or should you have that in the link page?
You mean like in the thumbnail? I think it should just be the artist title and song name, or maybe just one or the other depending on how much space you have. The easy rule of thumb is to just like zoom it in as tiny as you can, you know, on Photoshop or on your computer, and just see like, can I still read this? Because it looks deceptively easy to read on your computer screen where you're uploading it, and you think that it's really easy to see. But usually if you're thinking of someone on their phone or, you know, an iPad, it's not as easy to see. So just think about, you know, like, is it too much text? Like, is that going to stop someone from even trying to read it, period? Or, you know, is it, you know, like clean and cut? You just don't want to be able to have like a face or something like that on there. And the things like on Spotify and iTunes, totally just put in the description.
Josh.
Actually, could you talk a little bit about streaming service on YouTube, if you deal with the streaming service at all, and then also YouTube Red, what's that all about?
Yeah. So the streaming service that YouTube has tried to roll out many times is like YouTube Key, YouTube Music. Has kind of changed names a lot. It is basically just Google Play on the YouTube app. So it is, what it's taking is those videos that you have, are like a static album image, you know, where you can listen to songs. It is pulling all of those into like a player that is streaming them, so you can just choose, and it kind of cuts out the ads, which is good and bad, because even though it's cutting out the ads, which would have made you money, you're still then now making like whatever a piece of that membership that that person paid to be a part of YouTube Music. It's kind of fading out. They used to talk about it every time they were in town, and all their new initiatives, they've just kind of stopped. So I guess like they're not excited about it anymore. It's probably going away. Live streaming. Yes, live streaming is a whole other end. Very successful on YouTube. Most channels do one a week. Like I would say, like the top 20% of YouTube channels do one live stream a week. And you know, they hype up to it a lot before it's happening. Like, this is the day it's happening. This is what we're doing. Getting people excited, and it's just great because most people like had to go to Twitch or, you know, like Stage It or some other platform to do live streaming because YouTube didn't allow it. And so the great thing is now you can do the whole thing on YouTube. You can still have an ad run at the beginning, so you're making money. You can export the entire video back to your channel afterwards. You know, you can wait as long as you want, but then you can have it still live on your channel, and people be able to search it, rewatch it, and make money on it again. Just the only thing about it is to make sure you test it before you do it for the first time, because it's kind of hard to set up. And like if you really hype it up and you get like 100 people excited to watch the live stream and you can't get it set up, like they probably won't go watch again next time you try to do it. So that's my piece of advice about that. YouTube Red is, I don't know if it's going to be successful or not yet. They're trying really hard to, if you don't know what YouTube Red is, it's basically like YouTube's Hulu or Netflix. They have exclusive content that's only available to you on YouTube if you pay for YouTube Red, which is a monthly fee, but you get no ads. So then, once again, creators get like a percentage of that person's YouTube Red views. It's like a whole separate column on your earnings. And the way they're trying to get people to really be sold into it is everyone's favorite YouTubers, like all the vloggers and the beauty people and the sketch artists, they now have at least one video a week that's YouTube Red only, which has made a lot of people really unhappy. But it might be kind of effective in converting people to YouTube Red users, but from all of our analytics and earning statements, it is like less than 10% of everything that we see. And I have a channel with like 40 million views a month, and it's less than 1 million views a month are from YouTube Red. So it's just one of those things where I could see it maybe transitioning if they make the benefit much greater to users, because it's kind of cool to creators now, but it just hasn't quite gotten there yet.
Jim? Still got a question?
I was hanging with John.
Oh, yeah, because he's,
Yes.
So do you,
Cut.
would you say that live streaming is the future of YouTube?
I don't think it will ever. I think for some verticals it might be. Like it might replace a traditional vlogger or, beauty vlogger, but I don't think it will ever replace like the more like established things, obviously, because of like production time. Like I don't think it will really replace music. I don't think it will replace comedy, and I don't think it will replace like the weird whatever like science experiment making giant things vertical is, because that just takes so much time in production. But I do, even those channels that it isn't the future of, they're already using now in some capacity, just because once again, what's so important to YouTube is just that connection with an audience, and that just adds a level of authenticity which everyone wants to have.
Yep.
What do you think about Vivo?
I hate it. I can never think of a more eloquent way to say that. It just, like, nothing about it is good. And, like, I wish I could talk to every person before they make that decision. Because what it is a YouTube network, technically, which means that you're signing an exclusive deal with them. If you ever thought about it, I'm going to talk you out of it right now. Watch. So, you don't get access to the account. You don't get to upload anything to it yourself. You don't get to control the title. You don't get to control the description. You don't get to see your analytics. You don't know how much money you make. You have to trust Vivo, which is funded by the labels, so why would you trust Vivo? And, it's just, all it does is hurt the artist, because 9 times out of 10, the artist has already had a traditional, normal YouTube account where they're doing just great. They have all of their acoustic performances, behind the scenes, their old music videos, and then they sign a record deal, and it's like, you should get a Vivo, because it's somewhere we decide as a population that was a stamp of legitimacy, and it's just not. And so now what happens is you have a Vivo channel where like your 4 music videos are, to have a ton of views, which would be great if they count toward your other YouTube channel, and now your fans don't know which is which, and people on YouTube don't follow Vivo because they don't have the actual artist, and you can't ever like have a personality or connect with it. And also, this is a fun fact I recently learned, as of like last year, if you do not, like I guess every person is assigned like a Vivo point person, if you do not deliberately tell that point person, like, I want only my videos on my Vivo page, they put other people's videos on your Vivo page. Like, that is so dumb. So your homepage will have, like, your one music video, and it'll be, like, more from Taylor Swift. And it's like, what? Why are there Taylor Swift videos on my Vivo page? Guess what? You agreed to it somewhere. Like, I just think it's the worst. So try. If you enter a label deal, you probably have no chance getting out of it, but hold out for as long as you can, because keep your audience close while they're not on Vivo.
I have a quick question. What's the mechanism for aligning the advertisers to the page, and do you have any control over that?
Yes, so what it is YouTube's ad system is there's reserve and there's auction ads. Basically, reserve ads are kind of like as an ad buyer, you can just say, like, I'm spending this much money per day, don't care what it's on. Or you can say, I'm spending this much money per day, I want it to be on these demographics or in these verticals. Then it just happens. Then the auction ads are quite literally an auction where if you're in like the Google preferred program, which means you just have like a really, really good channel with high engagement, you know, really good watch time, like people are gonna see this ad. It means they'll be like, okay, we have this channel. Like, it's not actually an auction, but like it is in robot world. So it's like, there's this channel and, you know, it gets this high of engagement. How much are you willing to pay for it? And then like the advertisers really compete for it. And that's where you see your high CPMs. So like in peak December advertiser war season, like that's where I see like our channel's getting $12 CPMs because, you know, like they have such good watch time, the advertisers are fighting over it. And as far as being able to control over who advertises on it, you can block up to 500 URLs from advertising on your site. So whether that's a competitor or, you know, like if you like don't want alcohol or gambling or anything like that, you can block all of that. Or, you know, if you just don't want another channel to be able to advertise on you, whatever. And you do all that through your AdSense, which is where you set up your bank account. It just says allowed content right below that, and you just put in all the URLs and you can see it there.
What, like you said, you have some rabbit holes, and I just was curious, like, what are some, like, some tangent that you've been having within yourself in the last few weeks?
Viva is a big one. I really don't like it. Just the really cool thing that I think is so fascinating is the watch time metric and that you get it, period. Because, I mean, it's cool to look at across your whole channel. Like, if you click audience retention, you see overall as a channel, you have, like, 60% retention. Like, that's cool. But what's cooler is you can click by individual video, and it actually gives you a graph. It plays the video for you on the top, and then below it, it has, like, the timestamp, and it shows you this little squiggly line of when people are leaving, and you can see what's happening in the video as they're doing that. And so, I mean, every video is just like a gradual drop off, right? Because, I mean, that's just kind of like the trajectory of the video. But you can learn a lot from, you know, spikes and dips. Like, if you see a really sudden drop, like, that's really uncommon. You should really figure out what happened there. I don't know, was it a glitch? Did, you know, you sing too loud? Did the, you know, screen go black? Did it switch to, like, an in-video ad, like, that you made yourself, you know, for another person? Like, I saw one in music once that was like, of the 10,000 people still watching, at this one point in the video, like 80% of them clicked away, and I had never seen that. And figured out it was like the second note of the bridge, and people just really hated it. Like, it was so clear. Like, that was not a coincidence that 10,000 people clicked away, like, right at that time. So, like, we, like, took that video down and re-uploaded it without the bridge, and that didn't happen. Like, it's so weird. So if you see that, definitely note that. But what's more common is little bumps. Like, so what looks like kind of a straight line, you'll see like a bump or kind of a big bump, which means that people rewound to that part, which is really, really good for your watch time because that's just going to boost how much your ads are worth because people are really engaging with it to want to watch it again. So that's why you'll see, like, I don't know if you watch a lot of like comedy or vlogging or entertainment, they'll start to talk really fast, kind of like I'm doing. It's because they want you to rewind because you missed the joke or you missed what they said or you want to watch it again. They're doing it on purpose because that's just better for them and their score in the algorithm. It's not just because they talk fast. So, like, you may notice, like, oh, there's a ton of bumps. What am I doing there? They must like that, you know, or I should do more of that. Like, we have a guitar instructor who every time it cuts to his hands on the frets, we saw that people rewound it and watched it. So it's like, okay, we're going to do twice as many of those shots. They still get rewound just as much. Just being able to look at all of that is really cool, and it just feels like you have so much control over your content because you obviously spend so much time laboring over it and putting it up, and then you can really dive through the analytics and see, you know, how people responded to it. You can see, you know, like how many people subscribe to your channel because of a certain video. You can see, you know, how many people added that one video to a playlist. Like, it's so deep, and it gives you so much information that, like, you can really use it to your advantage, whether it's, you know, pitching yourself for a label or for a publishing deal or, you know, to work with another artist. You can be like, I have all of this information of all of these people who are my audience, and, like, I can prove it, and I can give you so much more info about them, and it's really cool.
I'll see you back there.
So Vivo being on one side of the spectrum, is there any other platform that you would
Yeah. Well, part of it is I am so deep into my YouTube world, I really I'm not that comfortable with that many other platforms. But one thing that's really caught my eye a lot in the last year or so is Twitch. Because they were just the innocent little gaming, live streaming thing. But, like, I think they have a ton more planned. Like, I mean, just the fact that they're doing whole, like, Gordon Ramsay just did a cooking thing on Twitch. Like, I don't know, like, where that came from. Like, to promote this other thing. And, like, they, based on, like, this article I saw last week, they built out their own content ID system, which means that they're probably going to start allowing hosting of actual full videos and, like, a similar channel structure. And I just think that would really shake the gaming world of YouTube a lot, because so many gaming people split, their, audience time between Twitch and YouTube, because YouTube's like where they see everything that they can predict and know, but they can go on Twitch at any time and see who's playing whatever game they want to watch right now. And if all of a sudden those people could keep all of that stuff in one spot, it might, be really interesting. I don't know how it would affect other verticals yet, but it would be a pretty big deal, especially because they just have so much money as a company. So.
Mike?
So, do you find yourself having to constantly change, like the music industry is constantly changing, you're always having to evolve. But for your uses of YouTube, do you think you constantly have to, are you constantly looking for like, oh, what's the next best thing that I can do to keep people interested? Or is like this algorithm constantly
Yeah.
evolving?
It's both. I mean, like, so from a what can I do next is like what I think about every single day. Like, what trend is changing now? What can any of these channels be doing differently to take them to the next step? What are they missing? What are other people doing that, we should? Whether it's just like a silly trend, like the hot knife videos. I don't know if that made it to you guys, but like everyone like would like light a giant sword with a blowtorch and like see what they could cut with it. It is as dumb as it sounds. Like 800 million views a month. Like it'd be like hot knife versus teddy bear, and like hot knife versus like oh my gosh, and it's still not over. So it's one of those things where it's like, man, if I had a channel that could have done a hot knife video, I should have. Like, it wouldn't really fit, but so there's things like that all the time. But that's just like a trend example. But there's other things just like, should we be doing a regular live stream and add it to like our schedule? Like every channel kind of has like a TV channel, like a release schedule. Like Mondays is this content, Tuesdays is this. Like, do we need like live stream Saturdays? That sounds like a nightmare, but I think we need to do it. As far as the algorithm goes, I can't tell you how much it changes and how annoying it is. Like, not only algorithm wise, but like settings and like feature wise. Like, before these end card things, there were annotations for like 8 years, and they like beat you over the head with these annotations. Anytime you upload a video, like, you should put an annotation here and here and here. Guess what? As of May 2nd, they don't exist anymore. So like, all that work you did in 8 years doesn't matter because they're now gone. And now there's this new end screen thing, which I do think is a better like upgrade. But like, why do you have to take away the old things? Anyway, or like a feature you used to have, like being able to see your CPMs and analytics, gone. No notice, just one day. Okay, cool. Being able to like upload defaults or control all of that, like, or batch adding tags to something, we couldn't do that like 6 months ago. I mean, like, it's just constantly changing, and it's always keeping you on your toes. But that's why the certification is so important, which being certified is basically just like a really boring, it's like 26 hours of online coursework, and that's a 2-hour 200-question exam, and you can only miss 10 questions. And it's Google, so like they know if you're cheating. Like they just know. So like, so many times we've tried this in the office. Like, okay, we're all getting certified in like this field today. So we all open up our computers. Okay, these exams are 200 questions. I swear, not one of us had the same question of like the 8 of us taking it, and they're so hard. But like, it's to test you on like, hey, we took away a bunch of this stuff and added all this stuff. Like, do you know how to use it? You need to keep your certification. So that kind of is refreshing, because at least that kind of helps. But once again, there's nothing that tells you when that feature changes or anything. It's just kind of like keeping you on your toes. And hopefully there hasn't ever been a shift so bad where it's like I need to take every video down and re-upload it, or I need to change every single title. Stuff like the title and the tags is pretty constant, but it's just other things like those annotations or custom thumbnails or a channel trailer. Like, all of those, they're always changing.
You've used the term verticals a few times. What does that mean?
Just like different content types. So like overall strategy is kind of the same, but it can get really specific, whether you're doing comedy or whether you're doing fitness, or whether you're doing how-to, or whether you're doing, just traditional music, because all of that is different.
Each one of those is a vertical.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And can you speak a little bit about the video copyright and YouTube's stand on it? Because audio copyrights are really robust and almost automated.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you could put a video up and have a Star Wars behind your music, and they wouldn't care until it was flagged. So what do you know about YouTube and video copyright?
The way it gets flagged is by that content owner submitting that information to Content ID, just like it is for music. And so a lot of like the big studios are already on top of it. And you can always, if you get flagged for like a fair use dispute, or say like this actually isn't in there, whatever it is. But so like if you have a video asset that you feel like isn't being, or is being like abused or misused in the system, you can file through an admin company to have that video portion claimed. But like the other part too is like so say you have a video of you doing a acoustic one of your songs, and somewhere out there is a fan who made a compilation of a bunch of your videos, or like a bunch of their favorite people, and there's like 40 seconds of you playing your song in it. You can actually like monetize those 40 seconds. So when you upload, you have the monetization section and you click like, I have all the rights to this video. It will then give you another little box that says, I have the rights to this video everywhere, or to match other people's content. And that's almost always default checked, but you always look. And that just means that if anyone else ever uploads it, then it will tell them that you are the content owner, and you will be able to monetize some of that as well. Not all people choose to do that because they don't want their fans to think like they're punishing them. And it's not super common that people will like rip your videos and reuse them unless you're like a really big YouTuber and they're doing like compilation stuff.
I find that interesting because I believe the Selena scene people just finally got shut down for using that song on their movie clips. I read this article saying they finally were able to attack and then shut them down. I found that interesting. But my question is, with your YouTube name on your page, of course you're going to have many outlets to edit, so many other social media like Facebook and Snapchat and all that. Is it important, or a really important thing, to have whatever your name, your YouTube name, be able to be your name for all your other accounts?
Yeah, definitely. I think if you're definitely using them all as pushes to your music, whatever the final product is, having it be the same is important. Unless YouTube is going to be like your main focus, and like you're going to kind of treat that as this whole other entity, where you have like more of a personality and do other stuff, it can be a little different. But if someone is a fan of yours on Snapchat or Instagram or something else, like you want them to be able to find you on YouTube if that's what their goal is.
Gar?
So when a artist and a label collaborate on a video, what advice do you have for the way to best optimize that video to the mutual benefit of both the artist YouTube channel and if there's a separate label channel? What do you advise on that?
I would say, it really just depends on like everyone's relationship, because I don't know how much they can push with this kind of thing. Either way, well, first answer is it should only go on one channel, which is a lot of people just end up to eliminate conflict, put it on both. But that's just really bad because then it's splitting all the analytics and all of the viewership between the two. Whereas if you just put it on one, which my recommendation would be the artists, then the label can feature it on their page, because like I said, on that homepage with those sections, you can put videos that aren't yours there. So like say you do have a freaking Vivo page and you have your personal page still, and so you want to be like official music videos, you can make a playlist of the Vivo videos and put them there, but they won't do it for you the other way, but you should probably still do it on your personal page. So like there is a way to feature other ones, but like I've just seen it go so many ways where either the label or the person who shot the video really wants it on their channel, so then it just kind of depends on that relationship. If you then just say like okay, because it really should only live on one, and then you can add it to its own playlist and you add it to your homepage, so if someone finds you, they can still see that video there, but it won't be on your videos tab as uploaded. It'll just be featured on the homepage.
Does it matter which of the two pages has the larger number of subscribers for that?
yes, if you're worried about the promotion of it, but if you're thinking more about the long-term strategy of like the artist channel, it would mean a lot that it's there. You know, you would expect the longevity of the artist to outlive whatever the other entity is, and you just never want to risk losing the video. I mean, if it's like you have the chance for your video to be on the channel of, you know, some label or filmmaker with, you know, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and you have like a couple thousand, then yeah, you should probably do that. But like if it's just like two channels that are more or less within 50,000 of the same subscribers, I would always pick the artist.
And as far as the revenue share is concerned, it would be the same on either platform based on the metadata that's
Mhm.
associated with the video.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Last comments? Anything else? Thanks so much. Oh, we got one more?
Since we're coming to the end,
Okay.
I'm just assuming all the information we talked about tonight is on your YouTube channel.
I do not
Do you
have a
your
YouTube
own
channel.
Oh.
Well, I am a manager of 41 YouTube channels.
Do you have Vivo?
No, but if I type my email into Gmail, it actually opens 41 YouTube channels, so I feel like I covered all my bases. But as far as everything I talked about, it is actually very helpfully explained to you in video and text form on YouTube Creator Academy. If you just search that in Google, it goes through a bunch of lessons on overall monetization, you know, a lot about like what your content should be like and how to capture the best audience, like explained by really preppy people in California. And then at the end of Creator Academy, if you want to get certified and, you know, be able to super nerd out about optimization and analytics, like it gives you the opportunity at the end of Academy too.